You keep seeing them. 111 on the clock when you reach for your phone, 222 on a license plate as you sit in traffic, wondering if you're on the right path, 333 on a receipt, on a page number, on a random street sign, and every time there's this feeling, this small electric jolt in your chest, like the universe just winked at you. But here's what no one talks about. These numbers don't mean what you think they mean. They're not cosmic text messages. They're not confirmations that your manifestation is coming tomorrow. They're something far more interesting, far more powerful, and far more challenging to accept. Because the truth is, angel numbers aren't signs that the universe is watching you. They're signs that you're finally watching yourself. Let's start where most people start. Desperate for meaning. You're going through something. Maybe you're doubting a decision, maybe you're feeling lost, maybe you're between versions of yourself, and you don't know which one is real anymore. And in that fog, you start seeing patterns, numbers that repeat, numbers that feel like they're following you, and so you Google it. What does 111 mean? Why do I keep seeing 222? And the internet tells you what you want to hear. You're chosen, you're aligned, your manifestation is near. Your angels are confirming you're on the right path. It feels good. It feels like relief. Like someone out there is paying attention, like you're not alone in this chaos. And for a moment, that comfort is enough. But then the numbers keep coming, and nothing changes. You keep seeing 444. But your job still drains you. You keep seeing 555, but the transformation never arrives. You keep looking for signs, and the more you look, the more desperate you become, not for guidance, but for proof that you matter. And that's where the real teaching begins. Because angel numbers aren't breadcrumbs leading you somewhere. They're mirrors, and what they reflect back to you isn't a message from the divine. It's the quality of your own attention. Let me explain. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. It evolved to find lions in the grass, to see threats before they see you, to make sense of chaos so you could survive. And that same mechanism is still running, still scanning, still searching for meaning in randomness. It's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, or frequency illusion. The moment you become aware of something, you start seeing it everywhere. Not because it suddenly appeared, but because you finally tuned in. You see 111 because you're looking for 111. Your brain filters out the thousands of other number combinations you see every day and highlights the one you've assigned significance to. It's not magic. It's not divine intervention. It's selective attention. But here's where it gets interesting. Just because it's psychology doesn't mean it's meaningless. Carl Jung spoke of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that can't be explained by cause and effect. He wasn't talking about magic. He was talking about a different kind of reality, one where inner and outer worlds mirror each other, where the psyche and the cosmos aren't separate but entangled, where the signs you see outside are reflections of movements happening inside. So when you keep seeing 111, the question isn't, what is the universe trying to tell me? The question is, what am I trying to tell myself? 111 shows up when you're at a threshold, when something inside you is ready to begin. Not because angels are confirming it, but because you're finally paying attention to the readiness that's been there all along. Think of it as an activation code, but not the kind that unlocks some external prize. It's the kind that unlocks you. You see it when your unconscious mind is trying to get your conscious mind's attention, when there's a stirring, a quickening, an impulse toward creation, and you keep ignoring it because you're too busy waiting for permission. 111 isn't permission, it's recognition. It's your own awareness catching up to your own readiness, and that changes everything. Because now the number isn't out there, deciding for you. It's in here, reflecting you. And the question becomes, what will you do with this moment of alignment? Will you act on the impulse that's been whispering to you? Or will you keep waiting for a louder sign, a clearer message, a guarantee that won't come? Then there's 222, the number people call the trust number. Trust the process, trust the timing, trust that everything is working out. And yes, there's wisdom in that. But let's go deeper. 222 shows up in waiting rooms, in the in-between spaces, when you've planted the seed but haven't seen the sprout, when you've taken the leap but haven't landed, when you're in the tension between what was and what will be, and it feels like nothing is happening. And that's unbearable for most people, because we're conditioned to measure progress by movement, by evidence, by results. We think if we can't see it, it's not real. If we can't track it, it's not working. If we can't control it, we're failing. So when 222 appears, it's not the universe telling you to keep trusting. It's your psyche reminding you that growth happens in darkness, that roots form underground. That transformation isn't always visible until it's complete. The number becomes a touchstone, a symbol you can return to when doubt creeps in. Not because it has inherent power, but because you've given it power. You've made it a reminder of something you already know, but keep forgetting. The timing isn't yours to control. In Taoist philosophy, there's a concept called Wu Wei, effortless action or non-forcing. It's not about passivity, it's about aligning with the natural flow of things instead of fighting against it. When you see 222, you're being called into Wu Wei. You're being asked to stop forcing, stop controlling, stop micromanaging every outcome. But here's the paradox. You can't force yourself to trust. You can't control your way into surrender. You can only notice when you're gripping, when you're tightening, when you're trying to steer the river with your hands, and then gently release. 222 is that gentle release. It's the exhale you didn't know you were holding. It's the moment you realize you've been bracing for impact when life was only asking you to float. And floating, by the way, requires more strength than you think. Not the strength of effort, but the strength of faith. Faith not in some external deity, but in the intelligence of process itself. In the way seeds know when to split open, in the way wounds know how to close, in the way you, despite everything, have kept becoming. Then comes 333, the number of alignment, of mind-body-spirit integration, of the Holy Trinity, of creative expression, and yes, there's truth in those interpretations. But let's go underneath the symbolism. 333 shows up when you're fragmented, when the version of you at work doesn't match the version of you at home, when what you say doesn't match what you feel, when what you want doesn't match what you're doing, when you're living in pieces instead of as a whole. It's not a congratulations, it's a confrontation, because 333 asks, are you integrated or are you performing? Are you aligned or are you accommodating? Are you expressing or are you suppressing? The number appears as an invitation to congruence, to bringing all the parts of yourself into the same room and letting them speak, to stop compartmentalizing your truth, your creativity, your voice, your power. If this message resonates with you, subscribe to the channel and join a community of awakened souls walking the same journey of spiritual alignment. In shadow work, the Jungian process of integrating the rejected parts of the self, 333 is the call to wholeness. It's saying, the thing you've been hiding, the thing you've been ashamed of, the thing you've been trying to fix or polish or make acceptable, that's the missing piece. That's the part that completes the triangle. You can't be aligned if you're rejecting parts of yourself. You can't be creative if you're only expressing the safe parts. You can't be whole if you're still performing for approval. So when 333 shows up, it's asking you to stop dividing yourself, to stop living in threes, the version for your family, the version for your friends, the version for strangers, and to start living as one, the raw, unedited, uncurated you. But here's what makes this so difficult. Wholeness isn't pretty. It's not the polished, spiritual, high-vibe version of you that you show on social media. It's the messy, contradictory, fully human version that doesn't fit into inspirational quotes. And yet, that's the version that's real. That's the version that creates. That's the version that connects. That's the version that matters. 333 is the permission slip you've been waiting for, not to be perfect, but to be whole. Now let's zoom out for a moment, because there's a bigger question here, one that goes beyond individual numbers. Why do we need these signs at all? And the answer is uncomfortable, because we don't trust ourselves. We've outsourced our intuition to algorithms, our decisions to advice columns, our self-worth to metrics. We've been conditioned to look outside for validation, for direction, for meaning. And so when we start seeing repeating numbers, we do the same thing. We ask the internet what they mean. We search for external confirmation. We wait for the universe to tell us we're okay. But the universe isn't out there. It's in here. And the signs aren't separate from you, they're emanating from you. You see 111 because part of you is ready to begin, and you need a symbol to validate that readiness. You see 222 because part of you is terrified you're off track, and you need a reminder that process takes time. You see 333 because part of you knows you're living fragmented, and you need permission to come back together. The numbers are language. But you're the one speaking, and once you realize that, the whole game changes. Because now you're not waiting for signs. You're creating them. You're not looking for meaning. You're generating it. You're not hoping for alignment. You're embodying it. This doesn't make the experience less spiritual. It makes it more so. Because real spirituality isn't about receiving messages from some distant source. It's about becoming conscious of the conversation you're already having with existence. It's about recognizing that you and the universe aren't separate. You're two expressions of the same unfolding intelligence. When you see angel numbers, you're not seeing something outside of you. You're seeing yourself waking up to yourself. So what do you do with this understanding? How do you work with these numbers now that you know they're not cosmic text messages? You stop waiting for them to save you. You stop using them as evidence that you're special, chosen, protected. You stop letting them become another form of spiritual bypassing, another way to avoid the hard work of actually changing. Instead, you use them as checkpoints, as moments of self-inquiry, as invitations to pause and ask, what is trying to emerge right now? What am I avoiding? What am I ready for? What part of me is seeking integration? When you see 111, don't just smile and say, I'm aligned. Ask yourself, aligned with what? What impulse have I been ignoring? What beginning have I been postponing? What fears are keeping me from starting? When you see 222, don't just repeat, trust the process. Ask yourself, what am I trying to control? Where am I forcing? What would it feel like to release my grip and let things unfold? When you see 333, don't just affirm, I'm whole. Ask yourself, where am I fragmented? What parts of myself am I hiding? What would it look like to show up fully, without performance, without pretense? The numbers become tools for self-awareness, not crutches for avoidance. And here's what happens when you shift your relationship with them this way. They stop showing up as much. Not because the magic is gone, but because you've integrated the lesson. You don't need 111 to remind you to begin, because you've started beginning. You don't need 222 to remind you to trust, because you've stopped controlling. You don't need 333 to remind you to integrate, because you've stopped fragmenting. The signs fade, not because you failed, but because you graduated. And that is the ultimate paradox of angel numbers. They're most powerful when you stop needing them, because the real sign isn't on the clock or the license plate or the receipt. The real sign is the quality of your presence, the clarity of your intuition, the coherence of your actions, the way you move through the world when you're not waiting for permission or validation or proof. The real sign is you, fully here, fully awake, fully yourself. So if you're reading this and you've been seeing numbers, don't dismiss it as coincidence. But also don't inflate it into prophecy. See it for what it is. A moment where your inner and outer worlds align just enough for you to notice. And then ask yourself, what will I do with this noticing? Will I keep searching for more signs? Or will I become the sign I've been looking for? Because the universe isn't speaking to you. You're speaking to yourself through the universe. And the message is always the same. Wake up, begin, trust, integrate, become. The numbers are just the language you chose to deliver it. Now the question is, will you listen? If this resonated with something true in you, don't just scroll past it. Like it, share it, subscribe. Not because I need the numbers, but because you need the reminder. Because every time you return to content that wakes you up, you're reinforcing a new pattern. You're training your attention toward what matters. You're choosing alignment over distraction. And maybe that's the real meaning of 111. Not that something is coming, but that something has already begun, right here, right now, in the simple act of paying attention to what's real. The universe is always speaking. The question is, are you finally ready to stop waiting for signs and start embodying the answer? To celebrate your arrival, we've prepared a gift, a guide to help you navigate your inner transitions with clarity and elegance. Alignment. 7 Phases of Consciousness Awakening. Download your copy from the link in the description. The Cipher of Inner Stillness is a poetic journey through the hidden geometry of peace. Blending mystical philosophy, Jungian psychology, and cosmic symbolism, this ebook reveals that silence is not the absence of life. It is its source. Discover this and other codices that transform the way you see the universe through the link in the description.